Hello, everyone, and welcome to ZTV The Podcast. My name is Juan Contreras. I'm a professor of practice and general manager of ZTV at the University of Akron. And ZTV, as you may know or may not know, hopefully you're finding all this information useful. But ZTV is a career development program within the academic unit of the School of Communication where our students get experience in the field of media, video production, television broadcasting, and beyond. The idea behind this podcast series is to sit down with some of our more experienced members so they can tell us a little bit about their experience in ZTV, what they've learned, and perhaps share some words of wisdom. Today I'm joined by Michael Makin, producer of our news and information program called Lights Camera Akron. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks, Juan. It's great to have you.
Oh, well, thank you. And, Michael has been you've been kind of an interesting person to work with. You know, you're very laid back, very relaxed. You don't take, you don't let things bother you that much. You're known around the station as, the guy that is always into the retro 80s and 90s stuff. And
fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about, how did you originally hear about ZTV and what made you interested in joining the program, and how your first semester was like as a trainee.
Wow, all the way from the start. Okay. So I started going to school at the University of Akron in fall 2016 and into spring 2017. And it was towards like the end of my spring semester, my freshman year, and I had a class in Colby Hall that semester. I think it was effective oral communication, and the more I was around the building, I would see like ZTV on the TV downstairs in Colby, and I saw like flyers and stuff like that. I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. But it was really late into like the like new member semester, so I figured like, I'll probably just wait and then I'll just join beginning of my sophomore year. And so pretty much like the first week of my sophomore year, I was like, okay, I need to get into this. Like I had changed my major from like marketing to media studies. And I was like, this is great. Like this is something I'm really interested in. I've always wanted to do stuff like this. And so I went in, I got an application. I remember the day I went in, actually, I ran into Brenda. Brenda was there at the desk, of course, and then she was like, yeah, you'll talk to Juan back here. Here's an application, and then called me back, and then I went in for my meeting with you, and we just, I don't know, I felt like we kind of hit it off and stuff, and then I became a new member, and yeah.
Great. Ms. Brenda Reichert, our administrative assistant, always taking care of all the traffic into our station. And let me ask you something. So that first semester, what was it like for you to go through all the shadowing experiences that we have all of our members do? What was it like meeting new people? What kind of challenges did you have as a new member?
Right. No, it was... I think it was really cool at first, just getting to know everybody. I feel like I can remember like the day I went in and like I think it was the whole After Hours team who was sitting in the kitchen, and I was really interested in doing that because I always loved SNL and I always like doing sketch comedy and stuff. And then like I met all of them that day and they were like, hey, we're the After Hours team. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like I want to join this show. And I don't know. I think everybody was really friendly at first, and I ended up. I think I participated a good amount. Like my new member semester, I helped out with UA at night, doing a couple things there, acting in like that sketch. I was like a vampire or something.
I can reduce the noise, the birds, and this smell you speak of, as I find you most agreeable, more so than my last roommate. Or the 3 before that. So many roommates I have had disagreements with, but not you, Danielle.
And I think my name was Vlad. And Then then I did a 48 hours sketch for After Hours in the first 48 hours, Detective Pig.
Why not bacon? Because you're the pig! Lock him up, boys. Then I turn around and there he is, pig mask and all. Before I could think to reach for my charcoal grill, he comes up to me and then he is me. I've been the pig all along. I need to turn myself in. I made this mess.
I sentence you to life.
Yeah, no, it was a really good experience because like Clayton was the producer at the time, and I feel like he's always kind of been almost like a mentor to me and this kind of stuff, even with like being at the internship and stuff now, and so like he helped me out a lot at the beginning, and so did everyone else, and it was just everyone was welcoming, and it was nice to make a lot more new friends. So yeah.
Absolutely. So, what do you think about that component? I often hear from new members that breaking those social barriers in a place where everybody is working as a well-oiled machine, everybody knows each other so well. In some cases, they've worked together for long periods of time for years. And when you're a new member, now you have to kind of like break that social barrier and be accepted as a member of the team. Did you find any difficulties doing that? Or maybe you can perhaps share some wisdom to any potential new member watching this as to how can they break that social barrier if there's one, if there's a perceived one, because there really isn't.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally understand that. Yeah. Actually makes a lot of sense. It's very similar to, say, like a sports team, and they say they make a big trade or something, and people are like, oh, that'll really mess with, like, the chemistry in the clubhouse. You know, it's kind of like a similar thing when, like, someone new is around, and, you know, you kind of have to, like, get an understanding of, like, the group dynamic and how the people, like, communicate with each other and so on and so forth. Like, I could tell, like, as soon as I, like, went to the station, I was like, okay, I can kind of see this is that team, this is that team. Because each one, it's like kind of cliquey in their own way, even though we're all like pretty good with each other. Like, you know, each team kind of has their own close-knit group of people. And so like at first, you know, it's a little intimidating, I think, because you're just a random person and they don't really know you at all. And you're trying to join their circle. And so it's a little strange at first, but I think the best thing about the program is that you work on like a lot of the same stuff together, and you'll like on After Hours at least too, you'll have like late nights and stuff where you'll be filming. You know, there's a lot of joking around, a lot of bonding, a lot of hard work, and things like that are just like what make people close friends. So it's kind of like an environment I think that can really build friendship.
I often hear that the key is to just come to the station, hang out, and start volunteering for stuff, kind of like you did with Vlad the Vampire.
Yeah, no, I mean it really is. Like I noticed the more like I started coming around, like the more like I started hanging out with everybody and stuff like that. It's really about just like putting yourself out there and not being afraid to like break those barriers and like just get to know people, you know?
Absolutely. So tell me about your first semester as a full member. You joined the program Akron After Hours. What was that experience like? Akron After Hours tends to be a very intimidating show too, because it takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of elements to learn from the writing components, the camera, the video editing tends to be intense. So tell me a little bit about that. How was your first semester?
Right. No. It was a good learning semester for sure. Aside from the new member semester, I feel like back then it was like my first experience with like a really time consuming what word am I like club organization sort of thing on campus. Because like back in high school, I wasn't in any clubs and organizations. I wasn't in like my freshman year. I wasn't like in my fraternity yet even. And so that was like the first thing that I've had that was like scheduled where I had to like come and do something with like groups all the time. And so I guess that kind of put me to an extent out of my comfort zone because it was like real schoolwork, but it wasn't just like hanging out with people, kind of a mixture, I guess. But yeah, it was really good. I did a lot of acting and like filming that semester, I feel like, and that was when I feel like I started like becoming good friends with everybody. Really started coming around more, and it was a good time. But all in all, I think I learned a lot. Like Premiere was pretty new to me, so I started learning everything about that and different camera techniques. And the 48 hours again helped with that, with because you're kind of forced to do certain things depending on what you pull out of a hat. But yeah, no, it was a good time. Even though I cringe at some of my sketches I made back then.
That's okay. Can you explain a little bit more in depth the dynamic of a 48-hour challenge with Akron After Hours?
Yeah, for sure. So like I said before, it started like in fall 17, and I think they've done it every semester except for one. But yeah, so basically you'll have 48 hours on like a weekend to come up with a sketch idea, write a script, film it, edit it, and have it completely done within like that 48 hours from like a Friday to like a Sunday morning. And you also have to act in other people's because it's a group dynamic. You got to help everybody out, and so it's really like just spending your entire day like just working on one big project, and you'll have to draw from a hat with the whole team, and the producer will throw in a bunch of different topics, genres, things you'll have to work around with, places you'll have to film. Matt Reed might have to go to Pennsylvania, but stuff like that'll just be thrown in on you, and then throws you for a surprise. And sometimes it turns out really good, and you get to make 2 musicals.
Oh, welcome to the after hours. I'm tired all 48 hours. Now I'm mad at Kylie. It's really all her fault, and it's not me. Please watch our show. We don't get a ton of viewers, 12 of them might be from our moms, but the other one is from this guy named Tom. Tom, I cried.
Yeah, I hear sometimes the challenges are really interesting, like stop motion animation, green screen.
Right.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun on those. Those are a blast.
That's great. And a big shout out to Matt Reed, one of a great person all around, hard worker, very down to earth, right?
Great man.
So you were in After Hours for a bit, and then you surprised me. I'm sure you surprised a lot of people when you decided to start shifting towards the news side of the station.
Yeah.
I will say pleasantly surprised, because I always tell the students, don't stick to one team. Don't put all your eggs in that one basket. So tell me a little bit about that. What motivated you to try more on the news side? And we'll talk about your producing later. But what brought you to that side a little?
Right. Well, going into that semester, which was fall 2018, I think I wanted to do After Hours again, but I wasn't like 100% set on it because I was really thinking about like other things I could potentially do. I was kind of interested. I was like maybe Lowdown, maybe like LCA. I thought news would be kind of cool, and so I put that as my number 2. And then I guess with like people conflicts and stuff like that, and when you guys decide the members, I ended up on LCA, and I was like, okay, interesting. This will be a learning experience. Big shift, pretty much the opposite in terms of what ZTV provides. And so nonetheless, I did my first package, I remember, and it was ridiculous. It was basically an After Hours sketch that I was trying to pass as LCA, and so that didn't make the episode. But after that, Brissa showed me. Brissa Bradfield was a producer at the time, and she showed me kind of like the format of the show more. And then I went out on my own, and I did this like Your Voice Ohio thing, and wasn't a great place to film with a 60D, especially because it was very dark. But nonetheless, I got like the structure down, and from that point on, after that one, was where I felt like I was like hitting my stride with LCA, and I felt really comfortable doing it. I started to really enjoy it more. I felt like I was kind of like my own journalist, just going out, like finding something going on, like taking care of it, getting a good report on it, and it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot, and I'm glad I joined LCA in fall 18.
Nice. Another shout out to Brissa Bradfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brissa graduates, or she's close to graduation, and then the opportunity we need a new producer for LCA. What motivated you to say, hey, I want to throw my hat in as a producer and apply for the position?
Well, I really got to give a shout out to like all of my friends like up at the station, because it didn't even cross my mind that much. Like I was like, I don't know if that's like for me, that seems like a lot of work. It's kind of scary. Like I don't know if I can handle that. And this was around like spring 19 when I was like back on After Hours and stuff. And I think it was David Stevenson, Jack Stern, and I think like maybe like Clayton and Caleb even too. I think they were all kind of telling me, they were like, yeah, you should apply for this. Like there's not. I think Jay Goliat was the other person applying, and so it was just me and him going up against each other, and they thought I did some really good stuff when I was on there in fall 18, and then I got enough courage from my friends to apply for it, and I did, and here we are today.
Here we are today. What was the application like as a, going through the application process, crafting your resume, the interviewing, all of that?
Right. Well, at first, I didn't realize that you were going to take it so seriously. 'Cause, most of the time between us, it's super casual. Like, what's going on? Hey, I made some coffee. But I didn't think it was going to be such a serious like interview thing. And I talked to Peyton about it, because she was just producer the previous semester, and she was like, yeah, like you gotta like look nice. You gotta have like your resume and like everything set up, and like act like you're going to a real job interview, which I think is pretty cool that you do that actually, because it is a learning program for like when you graduate, and you got to learn how to do like a real job interview. So I liked it. It was good.
Good. It's funny that you say that I take it that's a surprising part, that I take it so seriously. In the previous episode, I talked to Peyton, and she mentioned the exact same thing, that she was surprised that I take it so seriously.
Yeah, I know.
Walking into the interview.
You don't really take that much other things that seriously.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. So what has been producing like for you? What can you tell me? Tell me about the experience. Maybe some of the challenges, some of the things that, some of the high moments that you can look back with pride.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think for every producer, when they start their first semester, it's pretty intimidating. It's like, whoa, I got like 6 whole episodes I'll need to come out with this semester. You're kind of thinking about everything, and you're kind of like throwing yourself off guard. Like that's what I did, I thought. And then like the first episode rolls around, and you kind of just like start to get a swing of things, and you're like, okay, this really isn't like that bad. Like it's not as challenging, not like diminishing it at all, but like it's not like as much as you build it up to be in your head. Like you're capable of that. Like any of us, I feel like if we're passionate enough like members, and you have enough like determination to do that, like you're definitely capable of that. And I think we just overthink that a little bit too much. And the more you just like kind of calm yourself and focus on like one thing at a time, like okay, I got this package to do, I gotta like go through like my other members and like check those and make sure those are all good, and then the rest of it is just throwing it all together into the final episode. And I made my tweaks here and there with like the logo and stuff like that. But yeah, it's about using your own creativity and making the show that you imagine would be your program, like your news program. Like I feel like LCA is kind of like my vision of like what I would want a news program to look like, kind of. So yeah.
Can you tell me maybe a little bit about challenges, some of the more challenging parts of producing that you found? I mean, it's great that you have that confidence that you can say, like, I think anybody can do it if they put their mind to it. But tell me a little bit about those challenges. What are those like?
Right. Yeah, no, there's a lot. Especially with a show like that, like LCA, it's about like you have to make sure that you're on like emailing a lot. I know it's the same with like a lot of other shows, but it's not really like that where, for instance, I came from with After Hours, where it's like, oh, let's just come up with an idea real quick and film it. But with LCA, like you got to have a plan. Like you got to reach out to these people on these events or on these stories, and you got to set up times to meet with them. You got to make sure you got all the right equipment to do this interview so that it looks professional, because it's a professional news program. And I think one of the bigger challenges for me in general as a person, like producing for my team, was that it was so small. The fall semester, I had 4 people and then 1 drop, so it was 3 people on my team aside from me. And like even though like they were all like good members and like I always got their packages and stuff on time, every now and then I would still have to have like either myself go out there and like find a package to do, or like one of the other producers up at the station would be willing to help me out, and they would go do a package for me. So really, like, I think it's been a lot of teamwork, these past 2 semesters on LCA, and I don't think I could have done it without like the help from all like the other producers and everybody. But yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges for me personally was like a small size team. But I know it can vary semester to semester. Even live shows can be pretty challenging. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that you talk about the fact that other producers have helped you. And one of the things that I enjoy watching, and it's not something that is required of anybody to do. Nobody's required to go out of their way with their already busy schedules producing their shows to help other teams. But that's something that we see commonly in ZTV, not just people helping you, but other people helping each other.
Right.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that. In terms of, so yeah, you've had a little bit of a challenge there with a smaller team, but
yeah, I think for what we had though, I think it did a pretty damn good job. We made it happen. So
yeah, absolutely. So let me go back to a couple things that you've mentioned. The first one, actually, I want to ask you, what is your favorite sketch that you've been in, or that you've made?
That I've made. I mean, honestly, my favorite one that I've made is probably my most recent one, Back to the Past. Either that one or Welcome to the After Hours, which I did the previous spring. And those both do just happen to be 48 hours ones.
Marty! You made it!
Doc, what is this? This is my latest experiment, Marty. The big one. The one I've been waiting for all my life.
Doc, it's just a 97 Cadillac Seville. What are you going to do with it? And also, where's Einie?
Never mind that now, Marty. Never mind that now.
Okay, Doc, I'm ready. Action.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Black.
What the?
I'm standing in the parking lot of Chapel Hill Mall on a Saturday morning.
Doc, it's past 1 a.m.
You are late.
I don't know. I think the musical aspects of those ones were pretty funny. I really enjoyed on the Welcome to the After Hours one, me and Caleb just walking around like campus and me just filming him like being goofy and just like rolling on the ground and running around outside. That's always hilarious. And then, obviously like I had him voice over like the song for it later too, which we'll hark back to Sauce Boss when we worked on a song together. But yeah, no. Aside from that, Back to the Past is probably my favorite, just because huge Back to the Future fan, like yourself, and it's really fun to like kind of honor my favorite movie and do a little parody of it, a little musical dash in there, and I got to be in a Chapel Hill Mall parking lot, so it's like everything about me was just in that sketch.
You were in Chapel Hill Mall parking lot and survived.
Yeah, that's true. It was quite dark. It was pretty dark out and cold.
Yeah. One of my favorite sketches that you've been in was Cowboys 2.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know how that slipped my mind. Yeah, Cowboys 2. Shout out to Jack Stern again. That one couldn't have been done without him as well. We were up so late editing that towards like the final like days that Kylie needed it done by, and we put a lot of work into that one. Like we filmed it for days, used a lot of green screen, a lot of like computer generated horses that Kylie and Caleb would run through the desert in, which are some of my favorites.
Butter on her biscuits and corn muffins.
That boy Colt, always fiending over a molehill mountain. Or was it a mountain and a molehill? Aw shucks, it was something or rather the other. Them cowboys rode right on into the town saloon like an oxen coming out for yesterday's Sunday brunch. Little did they know that saloon would change the course of history.
Look who just done strolled into my saloon. Like this town ain't big enough for there's just the three of us.
Earlier you mentioned Clayton Schrock, and Clayton Schrock was a member of our station, highly involved. He also one of the individuals that would help other teams, very down to earth, great guy. He's done 300 Seconds of Science, After Hours, Goofing Off, lots of other work, and now you're working with him at your internship. Can you tell me a little bit about your internship, what you do, where it's at, how do you work with Clayton?
Yeah, so my internship is with Motion Media, which is it's a media company out in Fairlawn, Ohio, so not too far from downtown Akron, and they do a lot of work. They just do a lot of things. They they got like a sister company named Jumpstart Video Productions, which is also owned by Dan, but it's in the same building, so it's kind of confusing. They do similar things, but I know Jumpstart, they do a lot more with like commercials and stuff like that. And then Mosher has a branch called Akron Buzz, which I mostly worked on, which is kind of like, Dan likes to put it this way, is that he wants a classic news program for Akron, Ohio, and he wants that to be on TV someday. But obviously right now that's pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult for Akron Buzz right now. But what I was doing there mostly was I would like set up for the interviews that they would have. It's just kind of like a talk show sort of thing. The host was typically Sarah White. She does a great job, and someone will come in from a local business, and it's mostly just to support local businesses, whether it's like a new coffee shop that opened up, or even a CBD store that we had a guy come in for that. So there's a lot of different things that people come in and talk about, and it's always just a pretty chill conversation, kind of discussing what their products are, what they do, and how people can get their hands on it. And so I did a lot of work there. Clayton helps me out a lot with editing. I couldn't have done it without him. He, like I said before, he's helped me so much from the start with ZTV, and even now there, showing me a lot with Photoshop, Premiere, and so on and so forth. And it's been a great experience getting to work with him so much because he's so knowledgeable, and I'm really grateful for it.
That's great. It's great also that you got to work with Clayton in ZTV, and now that Clayton works in Motion Media, that you also got to work with him again.
Right. Yeah. Because it's not even like even though he's like my supervisor, it's not it's not like he's an intimidating force as my supervisor. It's just my friend. But
Yeah, well, he was your supervisor in Akron After Hours. That's
yeah, I know. There's a word that he called me last time for someone who's beneath you, and it starts with a B. Uh, he said I've always been his.
all right. I guess we can always bleep out the word if you want to say it.
No, we don't have to do that.
No page 5 violations here. So, Michael, you're about to graduate with your degree in end of an era for you. Some words of wisdom that you'd like to share with anybody who might be thinking about joining the station, what you've learned and what ZTV has meant for you.
Okay, wow, this is a lot. And this is kind of, I don't know, this is scary because it feels like this should be like the show cup speech or something, or the banquet speech, but it's here. Nonetheless, though, yeah, for like I kind of said before, just make sure you get involved. Figure out what you want to do. Don't be afraid to switch around teams, and don't be afraid to, break those social barriers like I was talking about before. Like, just be who you are, and just don't be afraid to talk to new people and ask questions. Talk to you. You're always very open to talk to anybody about anything, even if it's not like, something having to do with the computers being messed up in the edit bay. So yeah, just, take advantage of what you're given and all the opportunities that ZTV has, whether that's working on the special things that they do, each semester, like UA at night, or helping out with other special events that like program director can do and stuff. But yeah, like just be out there and keep your eyes open for any opportunities, and just do the best work that you can do.
That's great advice. And speaking of special programming, come November, we will be doing another election night special, and that's gonna probably involve all hands on deck. Every person enrolled in the station will be helping out with that.
Yeah, did you see the news today?
I did see the news today.
Yeah,
we're starting to narrow down the candidates. So I see that you're a Bernie Sanders supporter.
I was.
So yeah, it'll be an interesting night. It was an interesting night in fall of 2016, November 2016. One last thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to graduate. What comes next for Michael Makin?
Wow. Let's see here. I don't know. It's a really tough time though right now. You can probably tell because ZTV is now a podcast. Yeah, no, it's gonna be tough to find a job, obviously, with this kind of a society right now. I'm not sure what places are going to be looking for employers. Due to all the people working remotely from home, mostly essential businesses only being open. But I'm sure there's going to be some places. I'm going to try and look for something media related, maybe something similar to what I'm doing right now at Mosher Media, because I'm pretty comfortable doing that. I could even maybe look around for like a news station nearby somewhere in Ohio or something. I like Ohio. People like to crap on Ohio a lot, but I like it, and I see myself staying here for a while. So I'll probably be looking for something around either Akron, Cleveland area, or where I am home back in Cincinnati right now. So that's what it's going for me.
So I just said Michael Makin an Ohioan to the core, and can't blame you. I moved from Mexico City to be in Ohio. In 16 years later, I'm still here. So, Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about your experiences in ZTV. And for our viewers or listeners, if you're interested in learning more about our program, you can always visit ztv.uakron.edu. Again, that is ztv.uakron.edu. And also follow us on social media at ZTV Akron. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So don't forget to follow us on social media so you can check out some of the amazing programming that ZTV students produce. Michael, thank you again for taking the time to talk to me about your experiences. And for all of our viewers and listeners, we're hoping that you are staying healthy and that you are well. And don't forget that you can always watch amazing ZTV programming, all content produced by University of Akron students. My name is Juan Contreras, Professor of Practice and General Manager of ZTV in the School of Communication at the University of Akron. Thank you for listening.
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. Do you want to gain experience in video production, professional social media, or working with real clients? Visit the UA School of Communications online or follow us on social media to learn more. ZTV, make media, make a difference.